Biker Jay here. Now I know that I'm normally do outdoor gear and those types of things and reviews, but I'm going to deviate from that today because about a year ago I did a video on chickens from start to finish, from 1 day old all the way to the first egg, and it's been pretty popular. And I've had people ask me about the brooder that we use because I didn't really cover it very much. So I pulled it out of the shed and I'm going to review this brooder for you and walk you through all the different features and why I built it this way. First off, before I talk about the materials, I want to say thank you to everybody who has made that first chicken video really successful. That was pretty cool to see all the people that liked it and found it useful, knowing from like day one to all the way to the first egg. So that was a pretty cool video. If you haven't watched it, the link is just up here somewhere. Go ahead and check that one out too. But let's get to the brooder. Why we built this style brooder so big, and the materials and how it worked out. So first, let's talk about materials. First is the floor. The floor, I basically just used a tarp. This one's gray, but we used the blue one, and pulled it up over the side with this trim and tacked it to the side. Then the actual brooder itself is just made out of a 8 by 4 by 8 sheet of plywood. It is basically just a 1/4 inch and was pretty cheap. And then we bought some chicken fencing, just some fencing that was about 10 feet long and 2 foot wide. I wanted to be able to do the whole top. I had some extra, so we did this viewing window too. And the last pieces were these trims. So we had 2 by 1 inch trim and then 2 by 2s as well. And then I had screws and things that I had around home, of course, and the 2 hinges in the back. Now the build itself, the way that it's built is it is 2 by 2 on the end, and basically just took that 4 by 8 sheet, split it long end right in half, and then cut the top 2 feet off. So that gave me my 2 ends, and then along the side it's 2 foot by 6 foot long. That gives a lot of space for the actual birds to hang out. When we first got them, we put a divider in right here and only let them have this side, mainly because, well, they were really tiny, but also I wanted to keep them over the heat of the light right here. So this was the stand that I put up to hang a heat lamp. And at first, when they were little, I had it pretty low on them, just to keep this whole space warm so they didn't get too cold. Once we got them out in the garage and out of the house, and they started getting bigger and more feathers, I was able to raise it up and down using a cable, so that worked pretty well. This side, what we did was we mounted the chicken wire solid over on here, and that was mainly because I wanted to just lay the light on it and not have to worry about, you know, moving it when we lifted it up. And then the other side, we made the actual lid. It did have like a latch on it. I don't have that. I don't know where that went, but it's pretty heavy, and the lid worked really well to just stay down and keep them inside. And then lastly, we put this viewing window in here, and that was really because I knew that I was going to have it on a 6-foot table when it went into the garage, and then the kids could still see inside and see the chickens and enjoy them and really socialize with them. Even our dog really loved to like check them out when they were actually in the house, and got really used to them. She's kind of their protector. She's got some herding instincts, so she always wants them to stay together and everything be okay. We have a dog door in our back door of our house, and she once actually chased a chicken right into the house. I come in and there's like a chicken in the kitchen. Anyways, it's pretty awesome having backyard chickens, as you can see. So you want to have your kids be actively involved in it because it's great experience. So why this size and why this type? We did not have our chicken coop done. I ordered these chickens to be at my house at the end of March, beginning of April, and I knew that we didn't have our chicken coop done, so they'd have to be living in this brooder for a while. They actually lived in this for 9, almost 10 weeks, and the way that we did it was we put it in a room in our house to begin with when we first got them, when they were super tiny, and just cordoned it off, and they just had this little space here, and we used dog pea mats, you know, as the bottom. And then once they got bigger and I wasn't so worried about keeping them warm, we took the divider out and started putting chips in. One thing to consider is when they're little, you give them this kind of like mulchy, crumbly food, and that stuff's really powdery, and they run around and they blow it all around. So that kind of got all over the room, which wasn't terrible, but it's something to think about if you're actually going to have them in the house for the first couple weeks. So then when we really gave them the whole run of the brooder, it was about week 3 or 4 when it was warm enough to put them in the garage. And that's when they went on the table in the garage and were able to hang out there. And what was great about the garage was that we had chips and it could get messy and it really didn't matter. But during the day when it was a really nice day, we'd just throw them out in the backyard and they would wander around and check things out and explore. And then that was really cool. But about week 3, they start to get big enough where they can actually perch. So I made this perch that I put in here, and it's basically just a perch that's made out of a stick I found in the back, some dowels, and an old piece from some fencing. So that was a really great addition, putting the perch in, because they like to perch when they sleep at night. So this gave them an opportunity to really like hang out. You know, another good thing about making this perch was that when we put them in the backyard, I would always put the perch underneath a certain bush in the corner of the yard, and they found that comforting because it was something from their brooder that they were used to. And they would just, I'd have it kind of out so it would be in the sun, and they would just sit on their perch and kind of sun in the middle of the day. So this perch came in really handy. That was kind of something I just added, but it was pretty neat. You could come in the back and just see them sitting, perching, sleeping on their perch. So that's something that I would add to it too. I'm glad that we made it this big, because then I was able to put one on there that all 6 of them could make it on at that size, you know, when they're at size. Now, they'd probably still all try to get on there, actually, honestly. But at their size, it was perfectly fine and worked really well. So that's the brooder that we had and why we built it that way. We wanted it to be a home for them until we actually had their coop built. And that was an awesome experience when we actually got the coop done and they could move into it. Still living in there, still going strong. We're coming off of winter and we're getting eggs even during the winter as well. So it's been an absolute blessing having backyard chickens. And if you're at all interested in it, really check it out, because it's a great experience having your own food source. And also the chickens are just really great. They follow you around the yard, they get used to you, they become like your best friend. So if you found this video interesting at all, please hit like and subscribe. Till next time, just remember, life's a hike, so hike happy.